Greetings, YouTube. A group known as the Virginia Flaggers is currently collecting money so they can put up a 15-foot wide Confederate battle flag along I-95 in Richmond, Virginia. And the reason they want to do this, and I'm quoting Susan Hathaway, their spokeswoman, will serve to welcome visitors and commuters to Richmond and remind them of our honorable Confederate history and heritage. In addition, while being interviewed by the Richmond Times-Dispatch, Hathaway explained that the flag's positive message had been distorted by groups like the Ku Klux Klan. Please note, as the article does mention this, that the Confederate cavalry commander Nathan Bedford Forrest was the Klan's first Grand Wizard. So it isn't a real stretch to make a connection between the Confederate military, its veterans, and the Klan. Now, I have no doubt that there were honorable Southern soldiers during the war. None whatsoever. The Confederacy was not an honorable entity. It was an entity that was treasonous to America. It was an entity that stood for the oppression of human beings, to sell them and buy them and trade them like livestock, like cattle. Now, I know that people are going to jump on this and tell me that it was all about a states' rights issue. Okay, which states' right were they defending? Could it have been the state's right to buy, sell, and trade human beings? Could that have been the state's right that they were defending? Possibly. Almost assuredly. This is one of those examples that I have mentioned in the past of privileged, distressed people. They've been put into a position where they are no longer higher on the social status ladder than someone else. As I mentioned in the Golden Era video I did just recently, and I talked about the fact, white Christian straight men have been for the last 1,000 years on top of the heap. And people rightly commented that it was always the wealthy that were at the top of the heap, and they were. Those people who were in the lower class had far less power and authority. However, regardless of how poor you were for the last 1,000 years or so, until very recently, until like the last 50 to 70 years, a white Christian straight male could still know in his heart of hearts he had tangible social gravitas over women, children, religious minorities, and racial minorities. The poorest white man was better than the wealthiest, most well-educated black man. And that's what it was in America. And that distress, because a lot of these people now realize that those scales that they were so comfortable with the white people at the top and the minorities and the gay people and the minorities and religions and Muslims and Sikhs and Buddhists and Jews, those scales are getting closer and closer to parity. And even though these people are not losing anything, that these people are coming up to that level and sharing the same rights and privileges and responsibilities that this other group had and still has, they feel like they are losing ground, even though they aren't. They're exactly where they always have been. It's just that other people are now on the same level as them. And this freaks some people out. Some people aren't comfortable with that idea. They're afraid that someday the other group might outstrip them. That they may become the minority, and they know how they treated the minorities for 1,000 years. They're very aware of how they treated them. They liked that. And so now they're terrified that when they become minority status, that is how they will be treated. And so, as I've said before, and I'll say now and I'll say in the future, the safest thing they can do is make sure that the laws are set up so that that can't happen. So regardless of who is a majority and who is a minority, that everyone enjoys the same rights, privileges, and responsibilities, has the same human rights, the same civil liberties that everyone else does. And that's what we can do. We can do this. We can make sure that no matter who you are or where you're from or what your status is, that you will receive the same treatment under the law as everyone else. It's possible. It's achievable. But flying a 15-foot Confederate battle flag along the highway is not furthering that cause. As John Stewart would say, you're not helping. So when the state rights folks wander in here, and they're bound to, because I will put the state rights into the tags, I want them to answer to me. What state right was the Confederacy defending? That's a really good question. And I've never gotten a really good answer. Maybe someone can give me one. But I'd like to think about the future where we're all equal, where we have all the same privileges and rights and responsibilities, and we can all work together to make the future better. And this flag isn't helping that. So why don't we concentrate on things that will? Don't you think that that's a better use of our time and resources?